The courtroom was a pressure cooker, the air thick with anticipation as Colonel James Whitaker strode to the witness stand, his crisp uniform radiating authority. In his calloused hands, he clutched a dossier stuffed with EVY denke that promised to turn the tide. Across the room, Deborah Langley slumped in her seat, her usual air of untouchable arrogance replaced by a clammy, trembling wreck. Her perfectly manicured nails dug into her leather handbag, as if it could shield her from what was coming. The judge's voice sliced through the silence, each syllable a hammer strike. Fraud, forgery, grand theft, violation of the Ser VY Semember CIVY El Relief Act. Deborah flinched with every charge, her face draining of color. From the gallery, I watched, heart pounding, as the woman who'd obliterated my life while I was halfway across the globe finally faced the music. Let's rewind to where this all began. 3 years ago in Willow Creek, a sleepy suburb outside Seattle with neat rows of craftsman homes and maple-lined streets. I just closed on my first house, a charming 2-story with sage green siding and a porch swing that whispered home. As a Marine captain gearing up for my 3rd tour in Syria, that house was my anchor, a slice of the American dream I was fighting for. The Homeowners Association seemed like a minor detail during my walkthrough. The rules were standard, the dues reasonable, and the neighborhood gleamed with pride. But I had no idea I just stepped into the fiefdom of Deborah Langley, a woman who wielded her HOA presidency like a scepter. Deborah was the kind of person you'd notice from a mile away late 40s, with a platinum bob that defied jarre VY tie and a wardrobe of tailor blouses paired with kitten heels. Her silver SUV sported a license plate reading HOA_boss, a glaring warning I missed. She thrived on control, patrolling the neighborhood with a clipboard and a zealot's gleam in her eye. She'd measure your lawn to the millimeter, tally your Christmas lights, and slap violation notices on your door with a grin that screamed glee. To her, Willow Creek wasn't a community, it was her personal chessboard, and we were all pawns. Before I shipped out, I dotted every I and crossed every T. Mortgage payments were set to autopay, a landscaping crew was hired, and my neighbor, Mrs. Clara Thompson, agreed to grab my mail. I filed all the HOA forms for my absence, each one stamped with Deborah's looping signature. I thought I was bulletproof. I was dead wrong. What I didn't see coming was Deborah's vendetta against absent owners, and her warped logic that my deployment equaled desertion. 4 months into my tour, Deborah started her smear campaign. At an HOA meeting, she spun a tale of my house, falling into disrepair. Never mind that my lawn was mowed weekly. The owner's been gone for months, she declared, voice dripping with mock concern. It's dragging down our property values. She left out that she'd greenlit my absence. She was laying groundwork, priming the neighbors for her next move. Violation notices piled up in my empty mailbox, each one a brick in her case for abandonment. By month 7, she escalated. Deborah got her hands on my mortgage records later. We learned she had a buddy at the title company who owed her one. She forged documents claiming I'd defaulted and abandoned the property. My auto payments never missed a beat, but she banked on me being too far away to fight back. She bullied the HOA board, most of whom cowered under her glare, into declaring my house abandoned under an obscure rule requiring full board consent. 3 members signed without a peep. The 4th, Mr. Harold Grayson, later confessed he feared Deborah's wrath if he resisted. Then came her boldest play. She listed my house for due law $200,000, a steal compared to its due law $300,000 value. The buyer? Her cousin, Ethan Caldwell, a newlywed hunting for a deal. Deborah's plan was slick sell cheap to family, funnel a chunk of the proceeds to the HOA, and pocket fees for herself, all while posing as the neighborhood's SAVY, or. The sale moved like lightning. Ethan and his wife, Lily, toured my home while I was dodging mortar fire in Aleppo. They made an offer that day, thrilled at their luck. Deborah steamrolled the process, skipping inspections and rushing paperwork. On a rainy October morning, she stood in the title company's office, signing away my home as the HOA's representative. The check cleared that afternoon. Due law $40,000 to the HOA, Dula $25,000 vanishing into administrative costs. When Lily asked why the price was so low, Deborah smirked and said, "Finders keepers, darling. Good things come to those who act fast." I landed back in the States on a bitter February night, bone-tired but aching to crash in my own bed. My flight from Turkey was delayed, and it was past 1 a.m. when I reached my house. My key wouldn't turn. The locks were new. Jet-lagged and confused, I circled the property, peering through windows. My oak coffee table was gone, replaced by a gaudy velvet sofa. My Sayre VYC medals, once displayed above the fireplace, were missing. Strangers' photos lined the mantel. I stood in my driveway, questioning my sanity, until the porch light snapped on. A guy in sweatpants Sethan cracked the door. "You need something?" he asked, wary. His wife hovered behind him, phone in hand. I explained this was my house, that I'd been deployed, that something was horribly wrong. Ethan's face hardened. "Look, buddy, I don't know what game you're playing, but we bought this place legit. I've got the deed." He started dialing 911. The cops showed up fast, 2 officers who listened as Ethan and I traded stories. I show my military ID, deployment orders, and photos of me in the house. Ethan flashed his title and closing papers. The officers were calm, but clueless. "This is CIVYL, one said. "Get a lawyer." As they left, I overheard Lily whisper, "Who was that guy?" Ethan muttered. "Deborah said the owner bailed. It's all above board." The next morning, I stormed to Deborah's house, my Marine discipline barely holding my rage in check. She answered in a silk robe, coffee mug in hand, her face flickering from shock to smugness. "Well, look who's back," she cooed. "Sorry, hon. Your house was a mess while you were off playing soldier. We had to act." When I demanded answers, her mask cracked. "You left that property to rot," she snapped. "Finders keepers. The HOA did what was best." I spent days buried in calls and paperwork, learning how my home was sold out from under me. Local attorneys were sympathetic, but warned that unraveling a done deal would be a slog. That's when my CEO, Colonel Whitaker, stepped in. "This isn't just theft," he said, voice like steel. "It's a federal crime." He walked me through the Sayre VY Members CIVYL Relief Act, a shield for troops against exactly this kind of betrayal, and hooked me up with the Marine Corps' legal team. Major Emmeline Gwynn, a former DA with a fire in her eyes, took my case and saw red. "This woman didn't just steal your house," she said. "She preyed on you because you were deployed. She's going down." The investigation hit like a missile strike. Military and federal agents tore through Deborah's records, seizing computers and files. They found it all: forged signatures, shady bank transfers, and emails between Deborah and Ethan plotting the steal of a century. One message from her read, "He's overseas. By the time he's back, it's ours." The title company insider flipped, admitting her role for a lighter sentence. The feds called it a textbook case of Sayre VY, member exploitation. Deborah's perfect life unraveled. Agents raided her home, hauling out EVY Denke, while neighbors gawked. The local paper ran a front-page story. HOA queen accused of stealing soldier's home. Her job as a bank manager vanished overnight. The trial was a slaughter. Deborah sat at the defense table, her polished facade gone, replaced by a jittery shell. Her overworked public defender tried to spin it as a misunderstanding, but Major Nguyen dismantled him. "Your Honor," she said, standing ramrod straight, "the defendant didn't just steal a house. She targeted a Marine because she knew he was defenseless overseas. This is predation, plain and simple." The judge, General Margaret Ellison, a retired Army officer, stared daggers at Deborah. The EVY Denke was a tidal wave. Forged documents, wire transfers, Ethan's testimony, even Deborah's own words. Her defense collapsed. She claimed lost authorizations, accused Ethan of lying, and flailed under cross-examination. The jury took 90 minutes to con VYCT her on every count: fraud, forgery, theft, and multiple SCRA violations. At sentencing, General Ellison unleashed hell. "Ms. Langley," she said, her voice cutting like a blade, "you exploited a Sayre VY member's sacrifice for your own greed. You thought his duty made him weak. You were mistaken. The gavel fell. 8 years in federal prison, Dula $300,000 in fines and restitution, and a lifetime ban from HOA rolls. Deborah collapsed, sobbing, as bailiffs led her away, her empire of petty tyranny reduced to ashes. I got my house back, but the scars linger. Standing on my porch now, I wonder how someone could twist community into a weapon. Deborah's downfall was justice, but it doesn't erase the betrayal. What do you think? Should HOA presidents face stricter oversight to prevent this kind of abuse? Was Deborah's punishment too harsh? Or did she get off easy? And how far would you go to protect your home if you were in my shoes? Drop your thoughts below. Hit that like button if this story fired you up, and subscribe for more real-life drama. Let's keep the conversation going.